What's going on, guys? Zach of Photoshop Physique, and in today's video we're going to discuss the ketogenic diet, what it is, pros and cons, and common mistakes and tips. The ketogenic diet is a high-fat, low-carb, low-protein diet with a macronutrient breakdown of 75% fat, 20% protein, and 5% carbohydrates. The diet emphasizes eating meat, fatty fish, dairy, eggs, vegetables, low glycemic fruits, nuts and seeds, and healthy oils such as coconut oil and olive oil. Dietary carbohydrates and proteins are kept low to keep blood sugar levels low, as well as insulin, which is a hormone responsible for removing sugar from the bloodstream. The keto in ketogenic refers to the primary purpose of the diet, which is to teach the body to use ketones, namely the conversion of acetoacetate to 3-beta-hydroxybutyrate, rather than glucose, which is the body's preferred fuel source. This process of producing ketones will put you into what is known as nutritional ketosis, which is having ketone levels from 0.5 millimolar to 3.0 millimolar, and takes approximately 2 weeks to achieve on a strict ketogenic diet. Your level of ketones can be measured by using a breath analyzer, which will tell you the amount of acetone. You can also use urine strips, which will tell you the amount of acetoacetate. Or you can use a blood ketone meter that will tell you the amount of 3-hydroxybutyrate. There are also variations to the standard ketogenic diet, such as the targeted ketogenic diet, which has you consume carbohydrates around your workout times. There's also the cyclical ketogenic diet, so you would go, for example, 5 days strict ketogenic and then have 2 days higher carbohydrates to refill glycogen stores. And then there's the high protein ketogenic diet, where protein is increased to 35% of your caloric intake. Okay, now let's go over some of the pros and cons of the ketogenic diet. We'll start with the pros. One of the pros of the diet is that it is very satiating, since 1 gram of fat has 9 calories, compared to carbohydrates that have 4 calories per gram. This can make weight loss a lot easier. Another pro has been shown in a study with fat-adapted endurance athletes, which showed that they had a 2.3-fold higher fat oxidation rates at a higher percentage of their VO2 max, and also had 59% higher mean fat oxidation rates at submaximal exercise when compared to a high carb group. As stated before, the diet will keep blood glucose and insulin levels low, which will help you have an even keel of energy throughout the day. Probably the most researched application is in epileptic seizure reduction, to which I will leave a reference down below to a scientific review of the possible mechanisms for epileptic seizure reduction. Alright, now on to the cons. There has been some research to suggest that consuming a low-carb diet while performing strenuous exercise can reduce natural immunity due to increased cortisol. Additional research has shown a 43% decrease in the free testosterone to cortisol ratio in a low-carb group after 3 days of intensive exercise, while another study has shown a 47% reduction in serum T3 levels after receiving an isocaloric low-carb diet. Since most of the research done on a ketogenic diet has been focused on disease and endurance-based events, there's little research to suggest that a ketogenic diet is optimal for those events that require glucose, such as weightlifting or sprinting. One of the most common mistakes when starting the ketogenic diet is not increasing your electrolytes, namely sodium, magnesium, and potassium, which have been tied to the keto flu that most people experience during the first 2 weeks of starting the ketogenic diet. A good rule of thumb is to increase sodium to 3,000 to 4,000 milligrams, potassium to 1,000 milligrams, and magnesium to 300 milligrams, because you'll be urinating more frequently, and as you urinate more frequently, you're going to be losing electrolytes along with that urine. Another common mistake when starting this diet is that some people think that calories don't matter. This is simply not the case. You're just not storing the water weight or glycogen weight that is also associated with a high carb diet. Okay, we've gone over a lot in this video, and I just want to, end it with one final tip, and that is to, slowly increase your fat intake and your electrolyte intake while decreasing your carbs. That way you avoid the GI distress, because if you try and do it all at one time, it's probably going to be, pretty high stressful situation for your body. That's really all I have to say on the ketogenic diet, and it's certainly not for everyone, but it can definitely be an eye-opening experience, especially if you are currently eating a lot of sugar on your diet, to, how much hold that sugar has. Alright, that's the video. If you liked the video, hit the like button, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.